And welcome back. Well, back in 2016, our next guest family was receiving death threats. Little did Kathy Giorgio know that over the next year, life wouldn't get any easier.
That's for sure. In an effort to fight her sadness, she began publicly posting one moment of happiness every day on Facebook. People flocked to her page to see each day's new post. Her post then turned into a blog, which turned into now a book. It is called Today's Moment of Happiness Despite the News, a Year of Spontaneous Essays. And we are happy to welcome Kathy back to the Yellow Couch.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Yeah, I mean, we were before the commercial break, we said your husband lost his job not once, but twice. Your daughter, who's autistic,
Yes.
was bullied at school so badly that you had to
We switched schools.
switch schools. You were diagnosed with cancer.
Correct.
And then we said, what else could happen?
Hopefully nothing. I think that was enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's enough to keep a person down.
Right. It
And
definitely did.
ruin your spirits and make you feel maybe even hopeless at
Yes,
times.
definitely. And the book that, well, it wasn't a book yet, but the blog was in place before the cancer diagnosis. And really, I think if I hadn't had it going, that would have been so much harder to go through, because it forced me to turn my head toward the positive and look for the positive, as opposed to just continually sinking.
Another thing you told us during the break is that this has already reached #1
Yes.
for sales online within the memoir category. And I wonder if, when hearing that, you think that people are hungry for something positive and optimistic and for a way to seek happiness for themselves.
I would say they definitely are. I mean, I was stunned at the response online. All it was a Facebook status. And all of a sudden, my Facebook page was just flooded with people. So when I moved it to the blog, then my website kept crashing because so many people were coming. And
Wow.
so I think people are just really hungry for something good,
Yeah.
because we're just barraged with bad news day after day.
For sure, because I love that part of the title, despite the news. Let's talk, what moments of happiness come to mind? Because there were, you were doing it daily. What kinds of things were you posting that were like, here's today's moment of happiness?
Probably the one that comes to mind immediately for me, and it was bizarre. It was like a spontaneous flash mob. I go to Starbucks every day, and my Starbucks baristas know me by name. And I was in line, I was in my convertible in the drive-thru, and I had on the CD Heart and Soul by T-Powell from the 1980s. And I had the music up, it was a long line. And I began noticing in my mirrors, the cars behind me, everybody's bopping to the music.
To your music.
And
Because you have a convertible.
yes, and when the song came to an end, the woman behind me yelled out, "Play it again."
Go
no
away.
way.
So I
That's
hit
awesome.
rewind, and from the speaker, the barista yelled, "Yes, please." And so I get up to the window, and all the baristas inside are just jiving as they go back and forth. And it was like, this is the coolest thing, because
That's
everybody
awesome.
just all sucked into
Do you
one
always
song.
include a picture?
I try to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else will people find in here? They think about all the things that you went through. Does it also fully lay out all of the negative things and then how you combat it with positive?
It does, especially when it came to the breast cancer. I wanted to give a realistic picture of what that was like to go through.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there. I was actually told that I was lucky I had the good cancer, because it was estrogen based. So it's one that it's a little bit more easy to treat. But no cancer is a good cancer. No cancer is lucky. And especially radiation too. Radiation people think of as a big X-ray, and it was actually one of the hardest things to go through.
I want to know about the effect that because if you're posting something every day, a moment of happiness, you're then looking for
Right.
something happy, which I think has an incredible impact also. But you mentioned the flash mob, which is an incredible thing to have happen. It's a cool story. Can you give me an example of a very mundane, average, kind of happens to anybody, but it was a moment of happiness for you?
Middle of winter, and I needed some summer, and we happened to have some rainbow sherbet in the freezer. And that was summer.
That's
so,
cute.
I mean, that's your typical,
That
nothing
was your
major, but it
moment
was
of
like
happiness.
Yeah.
How did it affect your husband, your daughter, your friends, other family members that you were looking? You have this hard luck story, difficult things happening in your life, but that you're trying to find happiness each day.
I think they started looking for it too. My daughter started doing a similar thing on Facebook. She just turned 18. And I think for a child to start doing something like that was great. What was hard for them was I write mostly fiction. And suddenly I was writing nonfiction and they were the characters.
Yeah.
And, you know, if someone was asking me, did I ask permission before I would say anything about them? No, I didn't. I just sort of did it. And they were fine with it, but they did become the center of attention. I think the whole world knows my daughter now. So, which is, it's good for her confidence.
Would you call yourself an optimist?
No. At least I
Great
wasn't.
question.
You know, I called myself a natural skeptic.
Huh.
And I was always someone that if I thought something was going to go wrong, it was going to go wrong. And so this was a challenge to be able to find something good every day, even before the bad things started to happen. And then when the bad things started to happen, I mean, I really had to dig to find it.
So it's a choice. And
yes,
I think
it's
that's an
definitely a
important
choice.
lesson for people. And obviously in reading your book, the things that they'll take away hopefully will inspire them as well to make the choice towards happiness.